Good morning. This is Scott Elwell. I'm here with Lindsay Potter, my co-host and,
Good
Building Greenwich.
morning. Good morning,
And
everyone.
today we've got an exciting short talking with Nick Loeb about a foundation that he has started and running. And Lindsay, if you want to dive in on
Yeah,
what we're
so
what we're talking
we
about.
were yeah, we were introduced to Nick. He lives locally in Purchase, and the Nick Loeb Foundation that he launched 2 or 3 years ago is a nonprofit that really supports funding education for police officers' children. And they host this big event, which is going to be next weekend, August 24th. It's free for kids, it's free for all of the police officers and their families, and we're going to learn more about it when we talk to Nick in a few minutes.
buildinggreenwichct.com.
Welcome, Nick Loeb, to the Building Greenwich, Connecticut podcast. So happy to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we're excited to talk today about your foundation, about the event that you all have coming up on August 24th. And I'm just going to let you take it from here. Tell us a little bit about you and how you started this foundation, and then about the event.
Yeah, sure. So it's a relatively new foundation. It's been around probably for maybe a year and a half, 2 years now. And we wanted to build something that was focused on education and bringing media sort of combined with education to our community, meaning that I find that today most people are educated by the internet, by media, television, radio, YouTube, Snapchat, TikTok. And so we wanted to have an influence over that from an educational perspective, and I come from the sort of Hollywood background, and there's a part content that comes out of Hollywood, and they have their own mission and their own values, and we have our family values, and they utilize essentially the media to express their values and their opinions, and we have a different set of values and opinions, and we wanted to sort of fight back utilizing the media and build up a foundation around this. So it grew from being, developing education, things in the community, and really developing educational programming, which is what I focus on mostly, more from instead of like not a documentary TikTok perspective, but more from a film and television narrative perspective. Thinking about if you go watch a movie that's a true story, or a TV show that's a true story. That's sort of what I focus on. We moved to this community 3 years ago. I grew up here. My kids are fifth generation from Harrison Purchase.
Nice.
But like most kids who grew up here, we left after high school, right? We wanted to get out. We went to college, and I left at 18, so that was almost over 30 years ago. And we came back 3 years ago, and we wanted to care about the community and the world our kids grew up in. And one of the things we started doing was supporting the local police officers for many reasons. One, it was near and dear to my heart because I myself am a police officer. I was a police officer in California for a couple of years, worked at the LA County Sheriff Department. I worked in Louisiana for Jefferson Parish and Plaquemines and a bunch of parishes down there. And I'm still affiliated with police departments down in Louisiana, and being supportive. And everything going on with sort of defund the police and everybody sort of turning against them, we wanted to do the opposite. We wanted to be supportive. And I think it also came from an aspect of when we all grew up, we sort of, whether you lived in New York City or you lived in Westchester, you knew the cop on the corner, right? You knew the cop who patrolled the street. You had a relationship with them. And today the world has become so transient that we don't know our local police officers. And so when one does something bad, all of a sudden they're all horrible, racist people, which is obviously not true. And so we wanted to create an event where our community got to know their local police officers and realize that they're just like you and me, families with kids and dreams and aspirations. And we decided to do an event around this and a barbecue pool party for them and their families. And when you get to hang out, you realize most of the guys are just like every other guy. We're all kids, right? Men are kids. We're on, I'm having all these like water slides and zip lines, and who do you think's on half the things? Not just the kids, the cops, right?
Yeah.
Are doing half the fun stuff and the rides, and you get to realize that they're no different than the guys we went to school with, or our brothers or cousins. They're no different, and they're human beings, and they also care about the community, and they care about family, and they care about all the same things we do. The media has sort of made them out to be sort of a different class of people, which is completely untrue. And so
they're here to protect us.
Of course, the most important. And I like to say that, when I'm sorry, when I grew up, the cops were not your friend. You were scared of the cops, and that's why you behaved. And you're supposed to be your cop. I'm sorry, the cops are not supposed to be your friend. They're supposed to care about you, and but you're supposed to fear them. You're supposed to think, oh my God, if I misbehave, I'm going to go to jail. And so and therefore you bring with them a little level of respect.
And our parents loved that they're around, so we behaved.
Yes, and so you were supposed to fear your parents. That's why we behaved, and that's why I think our generation's a little different than the next generation coming. But we wanted that to have that experience, and then the educational aspect came where it grew into this thing where I said, why don't we sort of start charging people? This event became such a fun event. We brought in celebrities, and we brought in all these rides and events and food and alcohol, and I said, why don't we start charging the public and build an educational scholarship around the police officers? Because I felt that the police officers were also stuck in this problem. They make too much money to qualify for finance. They're not poor, right? Poor people get financial aid. Cops can make $100,000 a year, but at $100,000 a year, and you want to send your kid to Syracuse, and after room and board, it's like $60,000 a year. So what, you're going to live on 40,000, after taxes, like 20 grand. And then imagine most of these cops have 2 or 3 kids that are all sending to college. So a lot of their kids don't have the opportunity to go to the college of their choice. It doesn't necessarily have to be a better college, but if they want to, even go to a public school that's outside of New York, if they want to go to Florida State or UCLA or Chapel Hill, they've got to pay out-of-state tuition plus room and board. You're at $60,000.
Yeah, can't do it.
And you can't do that. And so we wanted to come and create a scholarship so to give the kids an opportunity to do that, the ones we wanted to support. And we started last year, and a kid from Harrison won the scholarship, and we gave him $25,000. Was our first year of doing this.
Amazing.
And hopefully we'll grow. We're hopefully to grow this, not only to Harrison, but to we did also brought in White Plains, and this year we're growing to Greenwich. And we picked these 3 towns particularly because these are the 3 towns that are important to our family community, meaning that we live in Harrison, Purchase. Half our life is in White Plains, whether it's going to the gym or shopping. Our kids go to school in Greenwich. So these are the 3 communities that are important to us. We're not looking to be a national organization, a countywide organization. We're really localized.
That's where real difference happens. And I love that you've grown into our community. Thanks for doing that. Scott and I were both born and raised here in Greenwich, and I have a number of friends who became cops. So the event is at a private home. Is it your home in Purchase?
Yeah, so it's a home I grew up on. I grew up here, and it's a large property. We built a full-size baseball field in the back, same size as a professional field, and we've got Dwight Gooden and Darryl Strawberry coming. VIPs can have batting practice with Dwight Gooden. If you're a Mets or even a Yankee fan, they both played for the Mets and the Yankees.
Oh yeah,
and it's at our home in Purchase,
and anyone can come.
And anyone who can come. So essentially the way it works is cops and their immediate families all come for free. And then anybody else who wants to come, it's $250, but kids are free. And the $250 is because it's a charity, it's a tax deduction. The most of that is a tax deduction. I think the real net cost to anyone is about $25. And kids are free. So if you're a family of 4 and husband and wife and kids, it's $500, but there's all free food and free rides, and there's free alcohol, and there's a band, and you get to meet celebrity, and it's a whole thing. And the majority, $450 of that is a tax write-off. So it's really, awesome. You're feeding a family of 4 and alcohol for $50 with all these things. And
that's amazing. And then if, let's say I couldn't come to the event, I can donate directly on your website.
Yeah, you can go to the nickloebfoundation.com and donate directly there. And we give all the money to the cops. All the right now, the majority of the cost of the event, our family funds and covers. And so the majority of the money comes in, goes towards the cops. So my goal this year is to hopefully get scholarships to more than one department. And it also depends how many kids apply, right? Because not everybody, I mean, these are not huge departments. Right? Harrison is only 60, I think White Plains and Greenwich are each 120, 30, 40, 50. So not everybody has college age kids that are ready to apply to go to college, that actually have to also meet our foundation's values.
Right. So that was my next question. Sorry, go ahead, Scott.
No, I love Nick. I love what you're doing. My uncle's a cop in New Jersey, and so I totally appreciate it. And especially as you said, that income bracket that you're just above what you're going to get scholarships from the schools for, but it's a massive, massive, massive chunk of what you're taking in. And I think the police need more support across the board. To get back to the point here, the question I've got is, so the children of the police apply for educational grants, essentially. I mean, how does the process work?
So essentially, So the kids who are going into college, that are seniors in high school can apply. They go through a process and they have to, so it's interesting. Our scholarship is not based on the smartest kid. We don't care what your grades are. We don't care if you're a varsity athlete. There are a million scholarships out there for straight A students and athletic stars. We care about what your values are. And that is the whole process. When you go through, we have a scholarship committee. You have to so any of the applicants have to volunteer at our event. At the end of volunteering at our event, they get an application. They fill out the application. They can apply, and then the scholarship committee will then interview finalists, and then they'll make a recommendation to us who they suggest. We may have a few questions, but usually we take the scholarship committee's decision, but it's based on values and what they're going to do with that. I mean, we want people who are going to be active in their community, whether it's they're volunteering on their school newspaper and they're contributing that way, or they're, leading in a kids education group, or, running their, local political club, or whatever it is that they want to do, that they have to be active in their community, and they have to continue that activation at school. And because we want those kids to bring our values and their values to school. I hear from a lot of cops, they show up to these schools and they're sort of overwhelmed that they don't fit in. This wasn't the way they were raised, and the things they're seeing is sort of shocking, and they don't have anywhere to go and fit in some of these schools. And so we want to be supportive and try to back those kids who are there. We also want to make sure that the scholarship goes to kids who are looking to go to a school of their choice. I mean, if they're just going to take the money and go to, Iona or a local, or like, I don't know, probably in Connecticut would be like a local, University of Connecticut school, or what's a whatever public school is where they're going to get in-state tuition and grants or whatever. And they don't really, it's not like they're going to need this. We want someone who's going to use the money because they want to go to, Vassar or Tulane or Emory or whatever it is, or it could, it doesn't matter, but somewhere where they wouldn't typically have gone anyway, right? So somewhere where they're going to need the money because, room and board is an extra $15,000 a year, and they need us to do that because they've got to go away. For example, like we had an applicant last year who they got into UConn, and we offered them the scholarship if they went to UConn because they weren't a Connecticut resident, they were a New York resident, so they got to pay out-of-state tuition, room and board, and they decided to not take our scholarship and to stay at home and go to their local school. And the scholarship was for that, and that's fine. They can do whatever they want, but that the purpose of the scholarship was for them to go to a school they wouldn't otherwise be able to.
I love that.
So open up an opportunity for them.
Right.
Yeah.
And give them a potential future that they wouldn't have otherwise had.
Correct.
Right. Nick, thank you so much for being here today and for
My
sharing your
pleasure. Thank
story, for starting the foundation. Everyone, you can go to the nickloebfoundation.com online. We'll put it all in the show notes. And welcome back to the East Coast. And
Thank
best
you.
of luck with the event.
Happy to be here.
Yeah,
Thank you
thank
all.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for
All right,
helping
take care.
cops and their families.
My
Yes.
pleasure. Love it.
Take care.
Thank you so much for listening to Building Greenwich, and thanks for being here with us today. We're just so excited to be sharing valuable information with our community. So there are ways that you can get in touch with us. Follow us online, Instagram at Building Greenwich. The podcast episodes in full will be posted to Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Scott, what's a way that anyone can get in touch if they're interested in being on the show?
Everything's going to funnel through Greenwich CT, so info@greenwichct.com. It's good to email us or comment, like, share, and you can reach out to us on Instagram.
Thank you again. We'll see you soon.
Bye.